Hello, and welcome into another edition of Unpopular Opinions. I'm Chuck Taylor. I'm joined by my co-host, the briefcase, Mr. Casey Cobb. How you doing, Casey?
Howdy, Chuck. I'm doing great today.
That's good. That's good to hear because we had an interesting and exciting week in college football, did we not?
Yeah, we did. I tell you, there were some great games going on Saturday, and a whole lot of fun to be had. Absolutely. Really kind of just shook up the polls once again. So makes for a really exciting season, and looks like the playoff guys are going to have their work cut out for them this year.
That's true. That's true. We had some big matchups, and we went over 5 games that we picked last week. And I want to just go over those with you real quick in order. First off, let's start off with Michigan-Ohio State. Now, your pick was 27-21 Ohio, and my pick was 24-17 Michigan State. I don't think we could have been more off in our estimations if we tried.
I think we missed the boat on that one.
yeah, exactly. If you could, just from what you saw of the game, what worked for Ohio State? Why was it such a blowout? And what was it? What were the corrections that Urban Meyer made week to week? And why did it work out for him?
I think Ohio State just came ready to play. I think after the loss they had the week before, that he just he went in there, had a conversation with them, changed some schemes. Their defense clamped down on Michigan State, shut them down. 3 points? Are you kidding me? I think they just did some work on defense, and J.T. Barrett just did his job, took care of business.
Yeah, that's hitting the nail on the head. Their defense looked astounding. They held Michigan State to 131 yards passing. Their leading rusher had 30 yards. Yeah, absolutely incredible. One thing that I saw from Michigan State, because I don't know, I had this interpretation that Michigan State had a pretty good defense headed in, and they did, but they did not look prepared to defend the dual threat that J.T. Barrett poses. It looked like, I only watched the first half because the second half was irrelevant at that point, but J.T. Barrett looked like he was running on him, and that run-pass option really opened up the passing game, but it started with the running game, and J.T. Barrett was running all over that defense.
And when you go back and you look at the week before, Barrett was off. He was throwing picks. He was not accurate, and I think it really all starts and ends with Barrett for Ohio State as far as our offense is concerned. If he's on, they're going to have a good offense. And then you combine that with the stifling defense and motivation that they had to really come back and correct themselves, and Michigan State just got steamrolled. Yeah,
that's true. It was not much of a game. I was really looking for a lot more from Michigan State, and I think it was just that bounce-back factor. I think Urban Meyer this is the reason why he's up on that Mount Rushmore of college coaches. Games like this, he bounces back, and he doesn't allow 1 week to carry over to the next. Well, anything you want to say before we move on from that game? That was an embarrassment.
Yeah, it was. No, I'm ready. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so next we got Alabama and Mississippi State. This one of the most exciting games, if not probably the most exciting game that we picked last week. And I really, I felt like this was going to be a really good game, and it was. It came down to the end. You had Alabama winning 21-17. I had Bama winning 17-13. It was a little bit higher scoring than that. 31-24, Bama took this one home. Casey, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, Nick Fitzgerald for Mississippi State played lights out. He's going to be I believe he's going to be an NFL quarterback. Maybe needs a little bit more work on his throwing, but he can run. He's big. He can pass when he is on. I think he is really what held them in the game. And Mississippi State's defense was pretty stout as well. But they scored 24 points on Alabama. And that is not too bad. And in the end, it came down to Jalen Hurts. Hurts making the plays. But that was a great game. And I spent the second half. I watched quite a bit of that one, and just physical, grinded out SEC football right there.
Exactly. Yeah, this was a classic SEC game. Maybe a little bit higher scoring than we're used to, but not that.
A little bit more
scoring.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Starkville is such an incredible atmosphere, and I knew that Mississippi State fans were going to come and show their support. I mean, that's a crazy place to play. Like you said, Jalen Hurts was the bottom line. Nick Saban was the bottom line. I think both of us called that the reason Alabama wins this game is Nick Saban, and that's what it came down to. Fourth quarter, Mississippi State had the lead, and Alabama came back like they always do under Nick Saban, and that was the difference.
They just do enough. So I'm wondering if Alabama's going to have to get their ears checked after hearing bells for that whole game. Good Lord, that place gets loud. Golly.
It's a crazy place to play, man. Starkville is they get them pumped up there, and but that was a great game, man. I had a lot of fun watching that game. Came down to the end, and some of these other blowouts, and we'll keep rolling with them next with Notre Dame and Miami, but this is an exciting, very underrated game, I feel like, going into this week.
I think so, too. Yeah. I thought Mississippi State would play them close. I really felt good about it because they match up well. They had a stiff defense, and Fitzgerald, he's the real deal. So I felt pretty good about them giving Alabama a run for their money. So it was a fun game.
That they did. The next game is probably the most overrated game of our picks last week, Notre Dame and Miami. So you had Notre Dame winning 35-17. I had Notre Dame winning 38-21. And it completely flipped on us and more. Miami took the win 41-8. What happened to Notre Dame, JC?
You know what it is? It's probably your favorite prop in the world, the turnover chain, man. I bet you hate that thing.
Oh man, I do.
Oh, I know you're not big on those props. I don't know what it is with props these days with all these teams, but anyway, yeah, Notre Dame couldn't do anything, and Miami was just killing them. I watched a little bit of that one, and the turnovers were a big deal. Notre Dame just got no traction whatsoever. I mean, it looked like the Miami of old, just full of swagger, just going down the field, playing hard. I mean, they shut them down. Not a whole lot more I got to say on that. 41-8 says it all.
Yeah, it did. Miami looked like it was 1994. Miami was running over them. They came in completely confident, and a lot of people were talking, including us, about Miami hasn't proven themselves. Miami hasn't played anybody. Notre Dame has played Georgia. They played some big teams, and we'll get on Georgia in a second. But Miami had everything to prove, and they proved it all in one game. It was in Miami, but they made Brandon Wimbush look terrible. The offense of Notre Dame looked terrible. Miami jumped on him for 27 points in the first half. Notre Dame couldn't do anything right. Miami couldn't do anything wrong. The quarterback play for Miami, Rozier, wasn't amazing, but they just put it together. They had 2 interceptions. They had a fumble recover. Notre Dame was gone before they even got a chance to start.
You can't turn it over 3 times and expect to win a game against a team that's playing like that. Now, I know we'll get into this later. I still am not too sold on Miami being the real deal, honestly, because I'm not too sold on Notre Dame being the real deal. But But we'll carry that conversation on here in a little bit.
Yeah, that is a conversation to be had this weekend and the weeks to come. But the fourth game coming up, another embarrassment. Georgia and Auburn. So you had Auburn winning 24-21. I had Georgia winning 31-27. The final 40-17 Auburn. Auburn took it to them. They did not care that they were the number one team in the nation. They did not care about being underdogs. Jarrett Stidham and that offense just took it to them. Casey, what'd you see?
I see Kerryon Johnson as being a top 10 pick in the NFL. That man, he's a beast. Big, fast, strong, breaks tackles, makes people miss. You know, he's the full package. I think Johnson is Johnson, Stidham, both of those guys together, you know, play great. Hey, and you think about all the other teams that are looking around who could have had Stidham, you know?
That's true.
And there were some other teams that could have had him. You know, his passes were crisp, had some good passing, and the defense just shut down Chubb and Georgia, you know? I think you and I talked a little bit about maybe Georgia being overrated last week, and I think it showed up. I think Auburn is a very talented team. Georgia's playing in the SEC East, which is pretty soft this year. And, you know, Georgia beating Notre Dame also calls into question, is Notre Dame that good? You know, now Miami beats up on Notre Dame, right? So, you know, I think Georgia may have been a little bit overrated, and I think Auburn, we need to be watching out. If there are some two-loss teams that might get into this playoff picture, Auburn may be doing it after a win like that.
That is a big discussion, and we're going to get into that in a second. But
yeah, I keep trying to jump ahead, don't I?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, they couldn't stop talking about Kerryon Johnson. 167 yards on the ground, 66 receiving with a receiving touchdown. Stidham, 3 touchdowns, 214 yards. This offense was a powerhouse. They held Jake Fromm, the freshman quarterback, to 184 yards and 1 touchdown. They held Nick Chubb to 27 yards. 27 yards for Nick
Chubb. That's
Chubb.
amazing. Yeah.
And, I had a lot more faith in Georgia's defense, and they did not show up at all. And I think a big part of it is being in Auburn, but I think also Auburn is the better team. I think they definitely proved that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you know, Auburn's a tough place to play, and you have some, you know, to give there, but no, Auburn came out and proved that they were the better team.
Yeah, I think Malzahn's off the hot seat now, huh?
That's true, yeah. Malzahn went from having to win against A&M to keep his job to beating the number one team in the nation and being in the playoff competition, playoff talk.
Right. Yeah, they may be giving him an extension pretty soon.
Yeah, that is one of the crazier stories in the coaching carousel, but
yeah.
So what was supposed to be a great SEC matchup turned out not to be. And that brings us to our last game, TCU, Oklahoma, the Big 12 showdown. You picked OU to win 31-28. I picked TCU to win 28-21. The final score was 38-20 OU. Baker Mayfield kept this season going, kept his Heisman contention going, and OU rolled in Norman. What do you think?
I expected it to be a little closer than that. I thought that TCU and Kenny Hill would be able to come out and put a few more points on the board, and I thought the defense might hold OU down. But once again, Baker Mayfield steps out there on the big stage and does what he always does. Completes passes, keeps drives alive. He definitely is looking pretty good for the Heisman race. Even though, once again, just annoys me, but you can't deny that he's got something.
Yeah, that's true. He is a very special player. And praise be Baker Mayfield. Sorry.
Yeah.
He had a great game, but Rodney Anderson had 151 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, so he didn't do it by himself. Oklahoma was definitely a multifaceted offense in this one. But Oklahoma's offense it's unstoppable. I think TCU did a good job. In the second half, they held them scoreless. Gary Patterson came in at halftime and completely shut down that offense, didn't allow another point. But they just, 38-14 at halftime was just too much. It was too much for them to overcome.
The damage was already done. TCU has a good offense, but OU's defense was able to hold on. And that was kind of my concern with OU is that their defense has been okay. That's not their strong point. So their defense being a little bit weaker, I think, could have been a problem going forward. But to hold TCU to 20 points, maybe they've got something that they've got figured out.
I don't know if I have that much faith in Oklahoma's defense. I think TCU struggled to get things going in Norman. I don't think they're great, first of all. I think Kenny Hill is very, he's hot one week, he's cold the other. And, he had 270 yards through the air and a touchdown. So, they didn't completely shut him down. Neither quarterback had an interception, which blew my mind. I thought there was going to be multiple interceptions. Baker Mayfield had 2 fumbles, but
yeah.
But no, there wasn't that many turnovers, and TCU I think played a good game, but I think being in Norman had a big thing to do with it, and Baker Mayfield being Baker Mayfield had a big thing to do with it.
Right.
You just outlasted them.
Well, we'll see. If they stay in the playoff picture, and they very well could stay in that picture, then we'll see if their defense can hold up to some of these other offenses if they get in there.
That's true. Well, real quick before we move on, first of all, Jack had his picks, Jack's pick of the week, and he picked both A&M and Texas to take over New Mexico and Kansas, respectively. And he got both of those right. He's 2 for 2 so far. What was the final score to the A&M game?
Oh, you had to ask me. I didn't have that right in front of me. I think it was 44-10, something like that.
I can get it here in a second. Texas beat Kansas 42-27.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah, it should have been 42-20. We let them march down with less than a minute left. I don't know what Kansas was doing. They're trying to relive some kind of 1950s fantasy or something. But they scored a touchdown with 10 seconds left, and hooray, Kansas. But
yeah, it was A&M beat New Mexico 55-14.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. So Jack is 2 for 2. And before we move on to the rankings real quick, just some important games. Stanford beating Washington 30-22. Washington is done. We talked last week about possibly them being able to play their way back into the playoff picture, but that dream is dead now. Clemson took care of business 31-14 over Florida State. Wisconsin got a very good win, 38-14 over number 20 Iowa, and we'll talk about that in just a second. They kind of proved themselves. Iowa beating Ohio State, and that's a good win.
Yeah.
USC took care of Colorado, 38-24. Oklahoma State got in a shootout with Iowa State, 49-42. Iowa State had been playing some good defense, but Oklahoma State's got a really good offense, so they came out of that one. And, Penn State beat Rutgers. But so that's your week in a nutshell. And now I want to move on. The AP Top 25 is out. The college football playoff rankings will be out either later tonight or tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes. It's going to be out tonight.
Okay, so it'll be out right after I post this. But I kind of like that it's not out because we can see the AP top 25 and we kind of give our take on the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey, give me your top 5. Who's your top 5 going into this next week?
You got it. And since we know what we're doing, right? Of course, you know.
Exactly. We should be voting.
All right, Chuck. I got Alabama at number 1. They're retaking the top spot. Beating a good Mississippi State team. I don't see any reason why they can't stay at that spot, until somebody knocks them off. Listen, I got Miami at number 2. It was a convincing victory of Notre Dame, a team that I really don't think is all that great anyway, but they're undefeated. They stomped them. I think you got to give them some credit. I'm putting Clemson in at number 3. I watched some of that Clemson game. Clemson's a good team, but if their quarterback is off, Chad Kelly, if he's off, then they'll have some problems going forward, but I think Clemson deserves to be there. I'm putting them in at number 3. I stuck Wisconsin at number 4. Yeah.
Now where does that leave Oklahoma?
I'm putting Oklahoma at number 5.
Keeping them at number 5 after beating TCU.
Number 5.
Okay. Is that like reverse bias?
Well,
because
I'm giving... No, no, I'm not. What I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and give Wisconsin the benefit of the doubt because they are undefeated. That's why I'm going to put them in at number 4, OU down there at number 5. We're going to find out. We'll find out down the road, when we get to like Big Ten championship to see if Wisconsin is for real, okay? And OU will have their chance to be able to pop back up.
Okay, fair enough. And so those are your top 5. Like you did last week, give me your next 3 teams. Give me 3 teams that are on the outside, top 5, looking in.
Auburn.
Okay. Is this in order?
This is in order. Auburn. I got Auburn at number 6.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I feel good about Auburn being a team to be able to sneak in, maybe. Then I got Ohio State. Got to give them some credit. And then I'm going to put Georgia down. It's tough because I thought about having TCU there, but I'm going to go ahead and give Georgia because they only have 1 loss. Even though it was a rough loss, I'm still going to put them at outside looking in.
Okay. So there's Casey's top 5 with his 3 looking in. Real quick before I do mine, this is the AP top 25, top 5. They've got Alabama at 1, Miami at 2, Oklahoma 3, Clemson 4, and Wisconsin 5, with their next 3 being Auburn, Georgia, and Ohio State. Having said that, my top 5 would be I'd have Alabama 1. I think them beating Mississippi State was good enough. I think they deserve to be there. I'm going to have Oklahoma 2.
Wow.
I think Oklahoma has had one of the toughest schedules of any of these teams we're talking about. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, they've beaten Ohio State in non-conference. They beat Iowa State, they lost to Iowa State, my bad.
Yeah.
They beat Oklahoma State, top 15 team still. There's 11 when they played them. And they just beat TCU. 2 of those games were on the road. So, Oklahoma's had a very tough schedule. I think they've proven themselves. I'm going Oklahoma 2. Number 3.
That's not bad. It's not bad. You make a great argument for that. You really do. Okay.
Oklahoma's, they're good. Now, you've got Miami, who's undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, it's tough. But I think Oklahoma's strength of schedule pushes them over Miami. I have to go Miami 3 because of the undefeated record, and they've just proven themselves against Notre Dame so emphatically on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go Miami 3, although I said this last week, I think Clemson is a better team than whoever I put ahead of them last week. I think I put Notre Dame in front of them or something. But I said Clemson was a better team. I think Clemson is a good team, but they haven't played anybody of recent. And they're not going to play anybody until the ACC championship. So I'm going to wait till that ACC championship to move them up. But I think Clemson is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, I got Clemson 4, and then 5, I'm going to put Wisconsin for being undefeated. And I think it was a good win against Iowa. So my next 3 real quick, I'm going to go Auburn 6. I think they're a pretty strong team. You said Ohio State and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Georgia, and then I really want to say Notre Dame 8.
Really?
Well, they were blowing teams out. We were talking about them proving themselves until this last week, but I'll say Ohio State 8. And I want to ask you a question real quick. So those are our rankings going into this week. And before we move on to our last part of picking our next week's games, I want to get your feel for the chances. What do you think the chances are that we see a 2-loss team in the CFP?
I think chances are good. Absolutely. Because look, you're going to have the championship games coming. Okay?
Exactly.
You could have Clemson, they're going to be playing Miami. So Miami, if Miami wins, they'll have, if Miami loses, they'll have a loss there. I mean, they still have some games left. So I think Clemson could have a shot at it. I think Auburn could have a shot at it because they're going to be playing Alabama.
Yep.
And even, if they beat Alabama and Alabama wins out, Alabama's still, I believe, going to be playing against Georgia for the SEC championship. So if Alabama beats Georgia and wins out, but Auburn beats them, I could see that being in the conversation. Do I think a Notre Dame or Oklahoma State or a TCU gets in? I don't feel too good about that. But I think if there was a 2-loss team to get in, I could see it being Clemson or I could see it being Auburn.
Clemson or Auburn. Yeah, see, I don't know if Clemson can get in with 2 losses because they would lose to Miami. I'm assuming that's the loss you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so they lose to Miami. Miami gets their ticket punched. I think Alabama has pretty much gotten their ticket punched unless they lose to Auburn and Georgia in the SEC championship, which I don't see happening. I think Alabama has their ticket punched. So that's 2 spots punched. Your third spot could go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma has an easy way out, and then they just have to beat TCU in the Big 12 championship unless TCU loses to West Virginia. Don't see it happening. I think TCU has a pretty good shot to beat Oklahoma in that game, but potentially you have a spot there. And then you have a spot for Wisconsin/Ohio State, whoever wins the Big Ten, because I think they're going to have a Big Ten in.
I get you. So Ohio State could be one of those teams as well. I just don't think Wisconsin's going to get in.
I think they have to win the Big Ten. They have to win that Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and I don't feel too certain about that.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to ask you, because if Miami beats Clemson, Miami's for sure in. And then if Clemson beats Miami, Clemson's for sure in. I don't think Miami's in if they lose. But I was going to ask you, and you answered my question, you think Clemson gets in if they lose, even if they lose in that ACC championship game?
I think they could. I think they might have a shot. I'm not guaranteeing that, but I think they're going to get a look.
Okay.
I could see Ohio State. I could see Clemson potentially, because even if you lose to Miami, if Miami's undefeated and it's a close game, they might give them some consideration. I just don't feel good about Wisconsin. I do feel good about Auburn and Ohio State got blown out, right? Ohio State got blown out by Iowa, so that gives me a little bit of pause. But you know what? They got reputation, and sometimes just having the reputation and being one of the big dogs, that name recognition can get you in. I don't think Notre Dame is going to get in because, they have beaten some teams, but their schedule's still not as strong as some of these other guys.
That's true. That's very true. If they would have beat Georgia, it'd look a lot better.
Yes.
But anyway, so let's move into our final segment. We're going to get into next week as competitive game rich as we were last week. We hit the gold mine, even though the results didn't look that way. It's the exact opposite this week. It's the quote-unquote bye week for the SEC. Most of them aren't playing anybody.
They got to rest up, got to rest up. It's been hard. They're playing tough football. Come on.
Yeah, Alabama's got Mercer. Tough game there. Auburn's got Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, big game.
Playing big games at the biggest time of the year. But anyways, so we're getting to that point of the schedule. So we're very matchup poor this week. So we picked a game, what we thought was the biggest game of each of the Power 5 conference for this week. So let's start it off. I did it in relative importance, but none of these games are very important until we get to the Big Ten. So we'll start with the Big 12, Oklahoma State, K-State. Who do you have?
Oklahoma State, it's at Oklahoma State, 38-27. I think Kansas State's defense is not bad. Snyder always has a decent team, but they're just always decent. They're always like above average. But I don't see them beating Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State. It could get more out of hand than that the way Oklahoma State plays and the way Mason Rudolph is slinging the ball. But I think Kansas State's defense will, hold them. I say hold them to 38, and Kansas State will be, I'm saying 27.
38-27, Oklahoma State. I think Mason Rudolph goes off, and I think Kansas State can't hold him, especially in Stillwater. I'm going to say 55-21.
Whoa!
Oklahoma State embarrasses them. They're pissed that they're not a part of this college football playoff talk, and they give Bill Snyder a heart attack with this one.
What was that score again?
55-21 Oklahoma State.
55-21, and Bill Snyder's in the hospital. All right, got it.
That's right. No, just kidding. Rest easy, Bill.
He's a good guy. I like him. He's one of, I tell you, he's one of the most, in my mind, just respected coach, good coach. I put him as one of my top 5 favorite coaches of all time. Seriously.
He's awesome. And when he goes to the game, he drives on Bill Snyder Highway to get to Bill Snyder Family Stadium.
He's balling.
That is not a joke.
That is awesome.
So
good on him.
Next we got ACC. We got number 17 Virginia Tech against Pittsburgh. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going with Virginia Tech. It's at Virginia Tech. I'm going for a generally low-scoring game, 27-17, Virginia Tech.
27-17 VTech.
I don't have anything great to base that on. I'm just kind of rolling the dice with this one.
That's okay. Virginia Tech, I'm looking at their schedule now. They've played some pretty good games. They have West Virginia, who's impressive to me. But they did just lose to Georgia Tech. And, I'm not a big fan of teams losing 2 games in a row. Although I do want to pick Pittsburgh. But I'm going to pick Virginia Tech, and I'm going to say this one's going to be, I'm going to say 31-22 V-Tech. That is not going to be my upset of the week.
Okay.
So next we have the SEC. Number 24 LSU. Don't ask me how they're still ranked against Tennessee.
Yeah, I know. I tell you, what an up and down season they have had. Losing to Troy. How do you lose to Troy and then come back and put together the season they had? I don't know. Anyway, I've got LSU beating the dog crap out of Tennessee, 44-10. Man, Tennessee has just imploded. Tennessee is just not good, and I think LSU is going to steamroll.
You think LSU's offense can muster up 44 points?
I think Tennessee is so bad that LSU is going to be able to do that in their sleep.
That is true. They did lose to South Carolina. They lost to Missouri.
Mm-hmm. That's my hot sports opinion this week.
Man, but LSU did lose to Troy. And almost lost to Syracuse.
Well, I don't know if Tennessee's much better than Troy or Syracuse.
That's true. Man, you know what? I'm going to do it. I didn't pick against Georgia last week. I'm picking against LSU this week. Tennessee, Rocky Top is going to come to town. They're going to get their first SEC victory in Rocky Top, and they're going to run Ed Oregon out of Baton Rouge. Tennessee's going to take this one 29-18. Whoa, Rocky Top.
All right. That's pretty brave.
Okay,
we shall
they're
see.
Gonna do it. All right, we got two more. We got the Pac-12. We got a rivalry game here, number 11 USC against UCLA. Who owns Los Angeles after this one?
I'm going with USC. I'm going USC 42-38.
42-38 in a barn burner. Close game.
High-scoring game. You got Barkley versus Rosen. Both pretty decent quarterbacks can sling the ball around. So we shall see.
I really would have pegged you to pick UCLA in this one. But you know what? I got upset fever. I'm going to pick UCLA in this one. I think Josh Rosen comes out and shows up Sam Darnold. I think UCLA takes the City of Angels, and they ruin any chance of USC getting in the playoff. But this is going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say 51-48 UCLA. Pencil it in.
That should be a fun game.
That is going to be a good game.
I just realized
there needs to be some excitement.
Yeah, I just realized I'm living in the past. I was still thinking Matt Barkley was quarterback. It was Sam Darnold.
USC. Sam Darnold, yeah.
That's my dementia setting in.
So the last one real quick. Big Ten matchup, the biggest game of the week by far. Number 8 Wisconsin has to face Michigan if they want a road to that Big Ten championship. Well, actually, I think they're already in the Big Ten championship. But if they want a shot at the CFP, they have to win this one. Do they get it done?
No, they do not get it done. Michigan is going to march. Michigan is going to march in there, and they're going to take the Badgers down. I'm calling it Michigan 34, Wisconsin 24.
34-24, go Big Blue.
I think Wisconsin is overrated.
Okay. Even after that Iowa game.
Even after the Iowa game. Yep.
All right.
Iowa's not bad. Iowa's not bad. Stomped Ohio State, but then they turn around and they immediately lose. They lose to, right? I mean, they lose to Wisconsin. I just don't. I don't know. I'm just not buying it with Iowa. I'm not buying it with Wisconsin.
I know, that's fine. Michigan has a stout defense. It is going to be difficult for Wisconsin to score. But this is in the Badgers' home. I'm going to say Wisconsin does not lose this game. I think they lose in the Big Ten championship game. I think they overtake the beleaguered Michigan. I'm going to say 27-13. Wisconsin takes this one home.
All right, mark my words. Now, remember last week I called the big upset, so this is my upset of the week right here. I'm telling you.
You did. Michigan over Wisconsin upset of the week.
I feel good about it. I think it's going to happen. What time is that game?
That game is at 11 a.m. your time, 11 a.m. Central.
Oh, that's perfect.
Fox.
Early game. Good. I should be able to catch most of that, unless your mom is on me to get stuff done around the house.
Well, you just got to do that on Sunday.
Exactly, right. Yeah, because there's not much worth watching on Sunday, is there?
No, not anymore. But anyways, before we go, let's get Jack's picks of the week. Big game for Texas. They play West Virginia. They need one out of these last two games to be bowl eligible. And then, who does A&M play? I haven't even looked it up.
A&M plays at Ole Miss.
At Ole Miss. So who does Jack have?
Well, Jack was biased this week, and he picked West Virginia to beat Texas, and he picked A&M to beat Ole Miss.
He picked A&M to beat Ole Miss. Okay, so he picked West Virginia and A&M. Okay.
He did. I think he's going to be wrong. I think Texas is going to beat West Virginia personally, but who can challenge the judgment of Jack? He's already picked better than you and I, so.
That is true. He's 2-0. He might be 4-0. I don't know. It's going to be a tough game in Morgantown. I'm biased, so it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Well, I expect A&M to go in there and lose, so I'm not expecting greatness.
I think
of course,
I think they can beat Ole Miss.
Nick Starkel, even though New Mexico really, not a great bowl team last year, but Nick Starkel being in there for A&M, completely different offense. It was like night and day.
They looked like it. They did. I mean, from the highlights and stuff.
Yeah, totally different. So.
Well, Casey, before we get out of here, do you have any last-minute thoughts, ideas, goals in life, anything you want to discuss?
You know what? I think that people should just get out there and enjoy their week and enjoy some college football. The fall is the greatest time of the year. There is nothing like sitting down and watching some good college football games in the fall. I mean, that is one of the things I look forward to the most every single year. So let's enjoy it. Even if it's not a big weekend like last weekend, we still got a few good games on the slate.
That is very, very true. Fall is the best college football and hunting season. Always the best time of year. Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the corner.
Yeah.
Awesome time of the year.
Yeah.
But with that, we are going to get out of here. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Unpopular Opinion. Check it out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share. And go get this album. Stone Fox's Visalia just came out.
You getting paid for that?
I'm not, unfortunately. I'm not.
See y'all next week.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.